wonderful people, and you are watching Alena Media TV with me, Janet Agbalanyo, as your host. And today is African History, where we bring you all African countries. We bring you their story, their background, how they emerged to become who they are. And today we are concentrating on Great Zimbabwe. The Great Zimbabwe is now ruined city near the Masvingo, central Zimbabwe, which was continuously inhabited between 1100 to 1550 years of Common Era, flourishing between 1300 and 1450th year of the Common Era in the late Iron Age of Southern Africa. The capital of the Kingdom of Zimbabwe, a state of the Bantu-speaking Shuha people. The site is located on a natural cerebral and concludes many impressive mountainous built using granite blocks without mortar. Just as we were talking about the Great Pyramid, most of these were designed by just human hand. They didn't use mortar like the way we used to have now. So clusters of stone building were called Zimbabwe in Bantu, hence the site and the kingdom name. One stone structure, the great enclosure, a high circuit wall and tower, is the largest ancient mountain in Africa south of Sahara. The city proposed thanks to agriculture, gold deposits, and a trade network which reached the East Africa coast. It went into decline in the 50th century, probably due to its source of gold being executed or overpopulated. The Shona moved northwest to a new site of Mutapa. Several soap town figurines discovered at Great Zimbabwe represents a bird, and this creature today appears on the flag of the modern Zimbabwe. So you can find a bird as a symbol inside their flag. Great Zimbabwe was designed a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1986 EC. The Zimbabwe Plateau. So we are going to concentrate now on the Zimbabwe Plateau. The Kingdom of Zimbabwe, of which Great Zimbabwe was its capital, was formed by the Shanu, a Bantu-speaking people that had first migrated in the southern Africa from the 2nd century EC. The exact confines of the kingdom are not known, except that its heartland was in the central marshland, northern Zimbabwe, the region of the Zimbabwe Plateau, located between the Lampo River in the south and the Zimbabwe River in the north. It's composed of the temperature glass line, which are free of the test fly, although rainfall has always been unpredictable with the threat of drought at least once a decade. So we are going to look at some few things about Zimbabwe. The general history of the region in millennium before Great Zimbabwe was at least height it as follows. From the 3rd century BCE, there is evidence of sheep, goats, and cattle domestically, although the practice was not well spread into the 1st century CE. Centrally, small bands of nomadic hunters gathered had inhabited the area long before the Shana. Pastoralists arrived with their livestock and iron melting technology, and indeed, the two groups would continue to complete their territory right into the modern era. By the 7th to the 9th century EC, communities were established along a pattern which would survive until European colonists arrived from the 60th century EC. People lived in the mud and reed thatch or stone house. Simple pottery was made, leather for clothing was produced from hides, jewelries were made from copper and gold, and weapons and farming equipments from iron. These items were also traded in region, salt being a valued and needed commodity in the Zimbabwe kingdom. There are also finds of glass beads and seashells. Evidence of trade in the coast were even at this early date. The calculated agriculture evidence points then to a society which from the 10th century EC proposed from farming, especially of the sorghum, millet, pumpkins, and watermelon. As this community prospered and their trade network expanded to the great trade centers of the Sahara coast, so they were able to build more expensive stone mountains from the beginning of the 2nd millennium EC. The Great Zimbabwe, located some 30 kilometers, that is 19 miles, southeast of modern Masvingo. It's only the largest of the 3,300 Iron Age stone sites in the region, which today covers modern Zimbabwe and Mozambique. The location of Great Zimbabwe on a natural rise 80 meters, that is 262 foot high, provided both a prominent site for rituals and a place easy to defend. Evidence of a spare inhabitation on the Sedical or High Complex, as it is sometimes known, dates back to the 5th century EC according to the radiation date, but was then interrupted and consumed in greater intensity in the 11th to the 12th centuries EC, when Iron Age people arrived there, whose material culture was different from that of the previous occupants. The complex may have functioned at the later date as a religious site, perhaps as a place of burial for the chiefs. Alternatively, it may always have functioned as a religious site where ancestors were worshipped and even sacrificed and votive offerings. However, there are remains of mud houses with stones foundation on the area, and it is possible it was used as a royal residence. Inside is a second wall which is forms a narrow corridor as it follows the counter of the outer wall, and which leads to a tall stone mountain or tower. The tower is conical in shape, 5 meters, that is measured in 16 foot across its widest part, and reaches a height of 10 meters. Built using dry stone granite, measuring with precious coursing, the wall and the tower are commonly referred to as great enclosure. The purpose of the structure, which has a total circumference of 250 meters, which is measured in 8,200 foot, is not known for certain, but it may have been a royal residence which the tower used as granary. Grain being a common form of tribute and used by the Shona rules to present a gift, or to present as a gift. The most luxurious artifacts of Great Zimbabwe has been found here and at the hill complex. However, the particular arrangements of the walls and interior platforms and stone buttress and difficult to explain as a mere residence. However, the exact function, most scholars are in agreement that the great enclosure would have served as a potential symbol of prestige and authority of the rulers of Great Zimbabwe. There are too many other individuals. Stone buildings are surrounded by high walls in the vicinity, as well as the remains of large circumference mud and pole houses, which predate the stone ones. This third area is known as the Valley Range. The mud houses are often 10 meters, which is measured in 32.8 foot in diameter, and so the height with their arches roof would have been an imposing 6 meters, which is also measured in 19.7 foot or more. The number and geographical spread of this range would suggest an increase in population as the city proposed, spread over an area of 1,700 acres, that is 700 hectares, and which such mountainous structure there was surely a ruling elect and perhaps a central authority which ruled over a total population of around 18,000 people. Contact with contemporary cultures in the region is suggested by the similarity of such items as iron bells, traditionally associated with rulers found at the site and in Shaba. The male children of the tribe's head owners male were educated with their peers for a number of months in isolation from the community. The boys were taught hunting skills, how to endure physical hardship and endurance tests, and were taught the traditional and custom of the tribe. At the end of the training period, they were circumcised and given a new name, which meant the boys had become men. Girls were also given group education where they were prepared for their future roles as wives and mothers. When a girl did marry with the left home and lived with the family of his husband, her father presenting a diary of cattle, the Great Zimbabwe had trade links with their state further of the field is evident by find of even non-African goods which came via merchants off the East African coast, 400 kilometers, or you can also measure it in 250 miles away. Kilva and its outpost of Sofala, located in modern Mozambique, became the most prosperous of all the Sofa trading posts thanks to the gold that came in from the Kingdom of Zimbabwe. The gold was easily acquired from surface deposits across the Zimbabwean Plateau and in the tributes of the Zimbabwe River. When these sources were executed upon main were dug to the depth of 30 meters. You can also measure that in 100 foot. Gold, ivory, and copper, often cost in X-shaped ingots and exchanged for such toxic luxury goods as Chinese mark, proceed and covered men's and paria. There were no markets, and this trade were done by barter for the benefit of the ruling elite. There is then ample evidence of the wealth in exterior trade brought to the city, not only in finds of foreign luxury artifacts, but also in both agriculture and arts. This is African News. Those of you who didn't know much about Zimbabwe, this is all you need to know about Zimbabwe. Keep on watching Alena Media TV and we will bring you more. Kindly send us your comments, your thoughts on this particular episode. See you next time.